So I know I haven't started off this vlog yet with like a reading update or just anything. This is literally the first clip of the vlog. Hi! I do have a reading update. I've just been too lazy to actually film it. I mean, you know what? Let's do it right now while I'm here. I started Call Me Evie by J.P. Pomer. I don't think that's how they said it in the audiobook, but you know. This is a thriller, and I literally went in knowing absolutely nothing except for the fact that I think it said it was like for fans of sharp objects or something like that. If you know me, you know I love sharp objects. That's like literally the only thing I knew. I did not read a description further than that, so it's kind of hard to even think of how to give one because I don't even know how far I am. Halfway, maybe, maybe not. So far, I can just say it follows this girl. The story is told in before and after sections, which I think is a really classic thriller thing. And so you don't really know what's going on. You're just like thrown into it. All you know is that this girl had something really traumatic happen and she can't really remember it, and she's with this guy. Not sure if she was kidnapped or if she went willingly, but she believes that she's like on the run for something that she did. So the after is obviously going through all of this bullshit, and the before is leading up to, I'm guessing, this event thing, whatever that she's running from. I don't know what's going on. Despite that, I am enjoying it. I'm very intrigued. I want to know what the heck is happening here. So yeah, more on that when I, you know, listen to more of it. But back to the reason I took out the camera, not, you know, book related, because psh, who likes books, am I right? I've been trying to get back on my health grind, and can I just say, this little berry parfait thing I got going on, she looks so good. Obviously, you know, it looks like just strawberries, but I have strawberries, then yogurt, then blueberries, then a little more yogurt, and then blackberries. I like the strawberries to be on top because they're the berry that can be eaten like without the yogurt. Like in my opinion, blueberries and blackberries, you need a little bit of the yogurt. The healthy, non-fat, light and fit yogurt in order to take away from like the tartness of the blueberries and the blackberries. Bone apple tittle, nothing like a 1 a.m. snack, am I right? So I'm about to go see Us, the new horror movie by Jordan Peele. And I don't do horror movies because I'm a weenie, but this one just looks so good and I loved Get Out, so you know, pray for me. Also, I put on pants, so Bindi over there, I actually don't know where she went, thinks that I'm taking her on a you-know-what. Say it out loud. A walk. Which shows how often I put on pants.
3 hours later.
Excuse me.
Answering anything is me and this kid Angel. It's literally.
Is Bindi under the bed?
Bindi's downstairs.
Oh, Miss Bindi, do you want to go for a walk? Yeah? Do you want to go? You want to go? Yes? Yes. So hi. First of all, I did survive Us. Woohoo. It honestly wasn't that scary. It's definitely more of a suspense novel. Oh my god. Movie. It was definitely very smart. Lupita Nyong'o's acting, amazing. I didn't like it as much as I did Get Out, but still very good. Jordan Peele is going to be such a great director. I mean, he's already a great director. He's just gonna give us so much. So after I got home, I spent the rest of the night finishing Call Me Evie. Love when my camera just runs out of battery in the middle of me talking. Call Me Evie was just a very average thriller for me. I gave it 3 stars. It heavily focused on having an unreliable narrator and not really giving many details for what is going on. Like I said, you jump right in. And while at first I think that was kind of ripping because you do think to yourself, what's going on here? But for me, it just took way too long to finally start revealing things. It got to the point where I was no longer gripped by the story. And what I did not know, I was just like annoyed. And certain things should have just unraveled sooner. Especially because the entire plot itself, once it's fully revealed, it wasn't that crazy to me. Normally the whole point of secrets and mystery and stuff is to just have this really shocking thing, and if I had just known the plot going in, I would have said that's not exactly a remarkable story, I suppose. I think with the ending being what it is too, for it to be really impactful or really just do something for the audience, I think you need to have some kind of attachment to the characters. But again, because everything is unreliable and you really don't get to know the people, there's really no connection there, and the connection that it attempts to build is really just thrown in very quickly at the end. I do think the writing was pretty solid, especially because I know this is a debut, and like I said, for a while I was interested, so I didn't hate this, definitely didn't love it. Would I check out something from this author again? Perhaps. I think I would read more of the synopsis first. I mean, I don't know if reading the synopsis of this one would have deterred me because I still don't know what the synopsis said. Like I said, I've never read it. I had only gone on the fact that it said for fans of sharp objects. I certainly don't think this stands anywhere near sharp objects, but that's just my opinion. I look like a drowned rat right now because I just got out of the shower, but I have some exciting mail that I wanted to unbox, unbag. One of it is book related, I think, and the other is not, but I think they're both exciting to me. Okay, so first, I was about to hold this up because I actually haven't looked at this side, but this side has my mailing info, so this is the one I needed to hold up. And I was gonna say, I think this is my King of Scars pin. Gee, I wonder. So if you don't know, they did a little pre-order incentive for King of Scars. Enamel pins are so in right now when it comes to bookish pre-orders, and I'm so happy about that because I think pins are just awesome. Do I know where to put them? No, but I think they're beautiful. Is this pin not just so gorgeous? When I saw Captain Marvel, I absolutely fell in love with the movie. I saw it again the next week because I just loved it so much. I just remember thinking like, man, do they make like Captain Marvel's jacket? Because I want it. And they do. Oh my God. Do y'all see this? The back has the little logo. Oh, this is kind of weird. It says Captain Marvel on the shoulder, which it definitely doesn't in the movie because this was her pre-Captain Marvel jacket. But you know, whatever. It has this little pin, speaking of pins, and this is actually removable, which I think is interesting. Ooh, and the inside is lined. Oh, that's so gorgeous. How do I even show this off? I don't even know. But like, look at it. Does it look good? I can't tell. Oh, it has such, oh my God. Okay, so it has like a literal pocket and then it has this pocket as well. Does it work for me? I'll definitely have to look at it when I'm like, you know, not looking like a drowned rat. Definitely gonna wear this to the Avengers movie. I feel like they should go opening night just so like the real fans will be there and I can be like, hey, I've never read a single comic, but you know, I love Captain Marvel. When you're trying to take a cute little video of your dog, but someone wants attention.
Is this the Krispy Kreme?
Oh, she's so sleepy from the walk. Yes, she is. Ooh, there is some drama. They're probably like, why is this bitch out here with a camera?
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Chevy John Brown come for you?
Hello friends. So I haven't picked up the camera to film Talkity Clip in a minute, but I have been reading. I started The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker, I believe. This book follows a 26-year-old woman named Kala. Kala was born in Alaska in this very rural, small, towny, bush area, basically very different from any kind of city life, even a small one. But when she was 2 years old, her mother left because she just could not handle it. And so she has spent her whole life living in Toronto. At the beginning of the book, she gets laid off from her job due to reconstructing, and she also finds out that her father has cancer. She had never met her father before because he had chosen to stay in Alaska. They had somewhat of a relationship over the phone for the first, I think, 14 years of Kala's life, but after he broke a promise, they officially cut ties. And so this book is basically about this city girl going to this bush area in Alaska to have some kind of relationship with her father, who has just been diagnosed with cancer. And obviously with cancer, you never know if someone's gonna make it or not. And of course, there's a cute guy who's a total asshole to her, so they have this kind of enemies to, I think it's gonna be lovers. I didn't really know a whole lot about this book going in. I had just seen multiple people on Goodreads give it a very high rating. I did go in just assuming that this was a romance book, and I do think it is categorized as that. Let's see what Goodreads has to say. Yeah, okay, so it has romance, contemporary, new adult, contemporary romance fiction. I went in just thinking it was a romance book, and I would say it's definitely more contemporary fiction, contemporary romance, because the main focus has definitely been Kala adjusting to this completely different way of life and meeting her father for the first time. I am enjoying it. It wasn't quite what I expected it to be. I'm about 60% through so far. It's a really interesting thing for me to read because I've never had a relationship with my father. I don't even think I had a phone relationship like Kala has had. And it's kind of touching on something in me that I don't really think about a whole lot. I'm hoping that I can finish it either today or tomorrow. I think the reason I haven't been updating is that, one, I have been reading this, I guess, kind of slowly. I've been reading it for about 3 days now. And I also started captioning for Rev because I was accepted. Hallelujah. So that's my update. That's my life. I'm gonna go read. So it is almost 1:30 in the morning. Yeehaw. And I just finished my book and I really loved it. I think I mentioned in my last clip how this wasn't so much of a romance book as it was family drama and stuff like that. But the latter half definitely kicked up the romance. There was some good, if you know what I mean. I would say though, if you are someone that doesn't like super smutty romance books, I think you would probably be okay with this one because it doesn't really get too much into detail. I mean, the scene definitely plays out, but I think I've definitely read smuttier. And I don't know, I just really fell in love with this book because it's so atmospheric. Like, I've never looked at Alaska and been like, oh, love that. No offense if you live in Alaska. But this book just really made the place almost like a character itself. And it was just so wonderful to read about a different experience than one from your own. That's definitely one of the big focal points of the book, is showcasing how Kala is used to life in the city and how different life is here. It definitely makes you think about some of the things that you take advantage of. Like, there's a mention of how people would be waiting for certain supplies for weeks, whereas in our world you can order something on Amazon Prime and get it to your house in 2 days. One day if you pay for advanced shipping. When you turn on the faucet, you know, water's gonna come out, whereas in this town specifically they relied on water being delivered every week, and if you ran out, you ran out. So it just did a really good job at like showcasing this other way of life. There is some native rep because they have obviously a lot of natives of Alaska living there, and they talk about briefly some of the villages that the pilots will fly to deliver things. Did I mention that Dad owns a plane company? I'm pretty sure I mentioned that, yeah. And you know, it's just a simple life, the simple wild, and it's definitely not for everyone. I don't think I could do it, but it was a really interesting setting and something that I felt had an impact on me, on my reading of the story and just thinking about life. And then also just the relationships, whether it be the romance or the family dynamics. It was just done so well. I was definitely tearing up at times and it was just so sweet. I do think I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars though, because I do have a few little issues. First of all, there was this whole like running thing with like Kala and her makeup, and how the love interest Jonah would be like, oh, you don't need to wear that crap, blah 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 blah, and at one point he literally like takes her makeup from her. And I had just wished that just at one point Kala would have been like, I don't wear this to impress you, I wear it for me. I mean, maybe that's not how she felt about it. Maybe she did wear it to impress people or feel like she had to. But I don't know, I just get weird when there are comments on women's makeup and stuff, especially by men, because like, it's not about you. And also I just kind of wish there was like an epilogue or something, because I flipped that ebook page and saw that it was the end and I was like, excuse me, I really would have liked just a little something to nibble on there. But otherwise, I love this book. I connected with it in a lot of ways that I didn't expect to. This was my first K.A. Tucker book, but I definitely think I'm going to be reading more of her work because this was some good shit. I'm literally resting you on the tire of my mom's Jeep while I wait for her to go to Target with me. But is it a look? The Brewers just won. So I got my Brewers hat, my Brewers shirt, my Captain Marvel bomber jacket. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Let's go. Might I just say, this lemonade that I made, absolutely a hit. Delicious. Chick-fil-A who. Cheers, guys. So for April Fool's Day, NetGalley changed their name to NutGalley, and they changed the place where your books are to your nutshell. I don't think I have to point out the many jokes that can be made from this. I'm just gonna let it speak for itself. Hello, my friends. I'm just putting on a little bit of makeup because hopefully when my niece gets home in like 10 minutes or so, we're going to go to Barnes & Noble so that I can get Defy Me by Tahira Mafi. This is now the 5th book in the Shatter Me series, which was originally a trilogy. Follows a girl named Juliet who has a lethal touch. If you haven't heard of this book, I don't know what rock you've been living under. It's very much talked about on BookTube. The book just came out today, so I am very excited to go and pick it up. I wanted to go to Barnes & Noble to get it because I'm pretty sure they have like an exclusive edition with some little extra things in the back. I wouldn't say I'm a Shatter Me super stan necessarily. I really enjoy the series. These books read so fast and the characters are great. But being friends with Whitney, I feel like I've become like an honorary stan. I know more about it than like the average person, I would say. And I'm in a Shatter Me group chat with a bunch of people and it's just a whole bunch of fun. So I've definitely been anticipating Defy Me. Restore Me, which was the 4th book and the 1st book in this like new addition to the series, ended really crazy and just opened up a bunch of avenues that literally no one could have possibly predicted. So I'm excited to see how this goes. I can't wait to scream about it with everyone in the group chat. I did start an audiobook yesterday because I was going on a walk with Bindi and I was like, you know what? I have this audiobook, I should start it. It's I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Kathleen McNamara. It's on the screen, right? This is a nonfiction book about the woman who was trying to figure out who the Golden State Killer is. I don't really know anything about the Golden State Killer, but I've heard good things about this. It's like a true crime thing. Gillian Flynn does the preface, forward, I don't know what you call it, and I will touch anything Gillian Flynn touches because I love her so much. I know that the author died before completing the book, so I'm interested to see what is here and like what's been gathered by her and what hasn't, you know? But then I also started Defy Me a little early because obviously it like comes out at midnight technically if you get like an e-edition. So I got a decent chunk into that and my plan is to get the physical edition today and then finish it. From what I've read so far of Defy Me, it is already batshit crazy, which is exactly what I expected. So we're here.
Buy your book. I'm just stressed. I had like a moment.
It's Defy Me Day!
Stressed right now.
She's very stressed.
There's a lot to take in.
Okay, I'll call you when I get home. We're here. Where is she? Okay, it took a minute, but she has her own shelf. The worker showed me, so success.
Hello, little corgi. Hi. Just gonna say, baby. Oh yes, you like this toy, don't you? Yes, you do. Oh, you are a ferocious woman. As you see, we took a break in Defy Me reading to play with some puppies because nothing makes you more emo than playing with puppies you can't bring home. Haha. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, lover. Is that your toy? Take the toy. Oh, I take the toy. Oh, you're literally banging your head. You're crazy. You're crazy, boy. Yes.
So it is much later now and I have since finished. Ow, I just hit myself. I have since finished Defy Me. This book honestly gave me whiplash. It's just so short. We kind of knew this going in because we obviously like heard the page count and we knew there was 3 different perspectives. And if you don't know, every perspective change like gives a whole freaking page to just the name. So who knows how long this book is in actual content. Actually, Whitney probably knows. I'm sure she like counted. I really think I'm going to have to go back and reread the original Shatter Me series, the original trilogy, before the last book comes out, just because I want to see if these all read so fast. I remember speeding through Shatter Me pretty quickly, but again, that one's pretty short. But I feel like Unravel Me and Ignite Me didn't have just like this whiplash feeling to them. Everything that happens in this just goes so fast because there isn't really a lot of description. There isn't really a lot of action action. It's pretty much just inner monologue. We're hearing what the characters are thinking. It's like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, blah, blah, blah. I don't mean that in a way to say that the writing is bad, because I think Tahara's writing is really great. It's very poetic often, and I love that. But sis, could you please write a little more? It's like when you sit back and think about what actually happened in this book, it feels almost like a lot and also a little at the same time. A lot because if things had been described more and there had been more action, then I think this book would have been a whole lot longer. And nothing, because everything does happen so quick and the consequences aren't really seen yet. I did really enjoy the characters in this though, and I was absolutely gripped by this. Obviously, I finished it in one day, less than a day. I literally could not put this down, and that's a big deal, especially because lately when I've been reading physically, I just have a hard time staying focused. I think part of it is wanting to complete the book, wanting to be able to talk about it with everyone in like the group chat that I'm in, but it's also just the way that this is written, the way it's paced, and the sequence of events that happen. It's just like, I had to finish it. I had to know. There were definitely some lines that had me screaming, some plot twists that had me screaming. Kenji in this book was an absolute delight, as he always is, but I feel like this one in particular, he does get his own POV for part of the book. His POV definitely goes away quite quickly. I remember reading his last one and like it felt like it was gonna be his last one, and I was like, already? I hope we get more of it in the last book, because I really enjoy him as a character. He's just great. There's parts that I can't talk about because it's like spoilers, but some of his and Warner's interactions in this is just so good. It's so good. Those are my thoughts. I think that's all I'm gonna say, because it's really hard to talk about this without spoiling, you know, like the rest of the series, especially if you haven't read Restore Me yet, which I know a lot of people have read the original trilogy, but they haven't continued on yet. And so much shit changes in Restore Me. Like, it's like a completely different series. It's like, I don't even know how to say it. Like, you just need to read it. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it off there so I don't spoil anybody, and if you haven't read this, you probably don't care about my thoughts. I am giving this one 4 stars because I really enjoyed it. I was having fun reading it. I was screaming reading it, but there's just some things that could have been better, and I'm really hoping that in the final book that comes out next year, that those things I touched on improve. Hopefully it's a whole lot longer. I don't know if Tahara Mafi is capable, because she always says that she underwrites her books, but if any series could give us like a chunkin' massive thing like Kingdom of Ash, like why can't it be this one? I would much rather be with these characters for that long. Hello, Bikini Bottom. I just finished editing this vlog up until this point, so now I have one last little update to end it with. By the way, let me know how long you like your reading vlogs, because I know this one is on the longer side. Maybe I'll use that like poll option that I think comes up here or something like that. Do you like vlogs that are over 20 minutes, under 20 minutes? Let me know. So my last update is for the audiobook that I mentioned that I started, I'll Be Gone in the Dark. I've never read a true crime book before, but I really love watching things about true crime, and I didn't know anything about the Golden State Killer, so I thought this would be a great book to start with. I heard a lot of great things about this, and I just found it kind of average. I listened to this on audiobook, which is how I pretty much exclusively read nonfiction, I would say, just because it's typically more interesting that way. It's typically read by the author. This one wasn't, because the author did pass away before the book was completed, so obviously she couldn't come back from the dead and read the audiobook. I just found that this one did not grip me. It really didn't pull me into the story. I kept finding myself getting distracted when I was listening to it. I found there were just some parts that were kind of slow, that didn't really seem like they needed to be included, and it felt very scattered to me in the way that it talked about the events that happened with the serial killer, serial rapist, because obviously it took a very long time for this guy to be found out. In fact, the author of the book died before they even figured out who the guy was. But I just felt like this lacked a narrative to follow, and so it made me not want to follow it. I do think it was very well researched, obviously was very detailed in putting everything together that she could, the way that she's just an ordinary person, you know, she's a true crime fanatic, I guess you could say. She had a true crime blog before this, but she was definitely committed to figuring out who the hell this guy was. The lady who owns the dog that attacked my dog just walked by, and so my dog's going crazy because she now hates that whole family. So I did find parts of this really well written, especially the beginning. Not to be up Gillian Flynn's ass again, but her little preface to the book was so well done. But yeah, I just wasn't hooked into this like I wanted it to be. I do think it was well put together fact-wise and everything, but for me it just didn't create a narrative that wanted me to stick with the story. So I think I'm gonna give this 3 stars because I don't want to put it down solely based on the narrative fact, because there was definitely good aspects to this book, but it was just average for me. So yeah, that concludes this reading vlog. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!